You're very welcome along to the Punt in association with William Hill here on the 42, bringing you all the analysis of the biggest sporting events on a monthly basis in Ireland and abroad. And do remember that this Cheltenham show will entail plenty of chat about odds and so forth and horses. So do remember to gamble responsibly, particularly at this time of year, and do visit dunlewy.net. And what a lineup we have today. Let's start off with one of the true greats of Gaelic games. It's only former Louth miner, Donn McClean. How are you, Donn?
I wasn't sure what track you were going on, Jenny, there. Yeah, all good, thanks. Yeah, delighted to be on. Thanks a million for having me.
We have this strange situation now where I'm kind of envisaging you're like a manager or some sort of a teacher, and John Small, who's just about to appear now, is kind of like the player or the pupil, and he's about to get a scolding. How are you getting on, John?
Good, Johnny. Thanks very much for having me on.
Not at all. I got to congratulate you. You became a father recently.
I did, yeah. My son was born there on the 2nd of January. So he's 10 weeks now on Saturday. And it's great. You're starting to see all his little characteristics and mannerisms and stuff. So it's nice seeing him evolve.
You named him Charlie after?
Charlie, yeah. Charlie Declan. Declan after my late dad, Declan. So, Charlie Declan Small. Nice ring to it, I think.
Yeah, I want to mention your dad, Declan, who I met when he was sick and he was terminally ill. We had a little visit to Willie Mullen's yard, and you were there. I think we might get a photo of that up in due course, but he was a big influence on your interest in racing.
Yeah, my dad would have sparked my interest in racing, Johnny. I suppose it's like a lot of people, like he would have brought me to a huge amount of race meetings when I was younger. I would say I've been to every course in Ireland, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I remember going to loads of them. Like we used to go to Leopardstown, obviously Punchestown, Ferryhouse, the Curragh all the time, like when we were younger. And that just kind of sparked my interest in it, and just had a huge appreciation for the horses and the sport, and just was like grabbed by it from a young age, and then just continued on from that. And yeah, that's kind of how I got into it.
How did he get into racing then?
So he would have got into it because my granddad, I'd say, would used to train greyhounds, a huge amount of them, and it was there would have been greyhound training in the family. He's from Tipperary and used to train them down there, and he came up to Dublin then, and then it would have been a bit of a crossover with the horses as well, and my dad preferred the horses, and that's how he kind of got into it. And then he was involved in a huge amount of syndicates, and yeah, he loved it. Like I was only chatting the other day about he was involved in a horse called Best Away.
Yeah.
He won a race at Thurles in.
Is that Tom Hogan's?
Tom Hogan's, yeah, Eddie Road, yeah. And he beat Dundera actually. That was remember that he SP 12-1, and we were down in Thurles. I was only even at 12 or 13 at the time, and yeah, geez, that was a great day for him. Like, and then obviously Dundera the following year went on to go on that big run up to win at Cheltenham. So, that's kind of the horse actually sadly died there 2 runs later, but he was upset over that. But yeah, no, I remember that was a brilliant day down in Thurles that we went down to that.
I remember Dundera winning well at Cheltenham, coming from absolutely out of the clouds. I remember him getting into the Tyes days as a reserve under Paul Carby. Can I ask you as well, though? I always wonder about this as kids in Dublin, what sports they get into. So presumably your dad was just a massive influence in you and Paddy getting into Gaelic games. Yeah,
so that would have been this too. Like he loved horse racing. He loved obviously Gaelic football. We played a bit of soccer as well. But it was always going to be Gaelic football. He was going to push us down that road because we're probably a bit too big to be jockeys, so it was all Gaelic football. But no, it was yeah. He pushed us down that road, and he was a huge influence in the club, our club, Ballymun Kickhams, and so we were playing from a very young age. And then in the meantime, we used to go down to the different race meetings on the days we weren't playing football.
And Don, like of all the years I've known you playing AstroTurf and going on various Cheltenham preview nights, you've never told me until literally about half an hour ago that you actually did play for Louth Miners, and you were an under-21 for the club at the tender age of 16.
Yeah, but the Louth Miners thing that Johnny, I went to America that summer. I never got to the championship. I did train with them when we played a couple of challenge matches before we got. I think Meath beat us in the first round of the Leinster that year.
There you go.
there's a common thread. But yeah, look, I played Gaelic football like John there. There was no soccer where we grew up in rural Louth. There was no soccer around where I was. So it was all Gaelic football. Even we went to the CBS.
I just about permit both of you to call it soccer from now on, but that's it. Like, you know, it's football from now on, right?
Differentiated from Gaelic football, yeah. But no, it was Gaelic football the whole way. Yeah, it was great. I played for the Dreadnoughts for Clara Head, and then when we moved house when I was young, I played for the O'Connells. Then up to I guess up until I went to college and beyond. But yeah, and it was brilliant. It was all, you know, like John there. It was all we played really was football.
Can you tell me about the children's book you brought out last year as well? Because there are parallels with John in terms of you lost a parent very young as well.
Yeah, look, my mother died when I was a baby, literally, so I never knew her. But yeah, like that book, it's a book that I've had in my head for quite a while, and just been talking to O'Brien Press about a few different things, and it came up. So they said, sure, write it away, and we'll have a look at it and see if it's any good. So, you know, luckily they published it. But yeah, it's about it's for kids. It's a kids book, and it's for kids, and it's about a girl growing up who loses her dad. And I guess, you know, for me, it was my experience when I was a kid, but also we've got 4 girls, so kind of trying to look at it from their perspective. If anything, God forbid, happened to me. So yeah, it was good. But and Gaelic football as the thread that ran through the book. So look, it was I loved writing it. It was a bit cathartic, I suppose, but yeah, it was an enjoyable experience for me, and luckily O'Brien Press thought enough of it to go and publish it. Yeah.
How did you come up with the name?
It's called All to Play For. That wasn't my choice, actually. I wanted to call it The Girl in the Orange Socks, but O'Brien,
nice,
in their wisdom, no, look, they whatever focus groups or things that they run through, that was All to Play For, was the one that was coming out on top all the time. So I'm happy to bow to other people's better judgment on these things.
And John, if Declan were alive now, obviously the chat would have turned probably from the 7 in a row challenge or whatever to Cheltenham. But just in terms of winning the club championship last year, how special was that for you and your brother Paddy? Because the images of the two of you on the pitch afterwards, I suppose, they're pretty much among the most iconic, I think, sporting images from Ireland of 2020.
Yeah, it was hugely emotive. Like, we kind of, I don't know, our club was kind of drifting a bit, Johnny. We always had a really good team. Our senior team was very, very strong, and we kind of probably felt we underachieved. In a strange sort of way, nearly my dad's passing kind of galvanised the club, and we just really bonded as a team. And I think it was huge.
Was he very big in the club?
Yeah, he was the chairman of the club, and like hugely involved in everything. He actually set up the club nursery, so. A lot of them underage guys that came through on that team, he would have started that. So he had a massive influence, and it was a big loss in the club, obviously. And you know, we were kind of as I said, drifting, and it did galvanise us, I think, a little bit. And then we had a really good management team in place. And just when the final, like we played Ballymun St Enda's in the final, who were Leinster champions, and we beat them very well, and we played really, really well as well. And I think it was more just how well we played. He would have loved to see like that performance of football, and just that it was great how much he would have loved that. And then I suppose we just got a bit emotional about the whole thing. But it was a really, really good victory for the club, and hopefully kickstart something now going forward for Ballymun.
Do you remember the kind of embracing your brother afterwards? And I guess you're after winning the county title, you're not thinking of this is going to make a great photograph.
No, nothing like that. Just it was a bit of sense of, oh geez, that was fantastic, and just Dad would have loved to seen it, you know. That was more, and it was really, really nice to be able to share that moment with Paddy, because he played very well as well. So it was nice.
You obviously won an All-Star finally, which what are you now, 28?
28, yeah, gone 28 in January.
Yeah, I think the kind of the consensus is that if you were actually just a bit more of a saintly player on the pitch, you might have gotten an All-Star before now. But I remember meeting you in one of the brief kind of periods where we weren't in proper lockdown last year, and I was chatting to you about what was it like to be an inter-county player in lockdown. And I don't know, maybe half an hour into the conversation, you said, "Oh yeah, by the way, yeah, I'm going to be a father as well." But you were talking about how you were actually kind of enjoying it because it was different, and it wasn't quite as difficult as it would be, because it was just like maybe a more normal year because of the lockdown, and things were a little bit different for the inter-county footballer. What was it actually like?
Yeah, like it was obviously like everyone else. It was different because like we didn't really know when we were going to be back or what if we were going to be back. Everyone was kind of a bit, you know, it was kind of like when is this going to end or if it's going to end. So like it was just kind of embracing that. So like we were obviously given programs to do and tip away at ourselves, but it was nice actually having the freedom and being able to do things in your own time a little bit more, even because with our jobs as well, we were kind of in the dark of what was going to happen. So we were kind of had a little bit more freedom to train, and I had Paddy, so I was again very lucky that we were able to bounce off each other and train with each other. And you know, it was a little bit more just our own routine as opposed to being with a collective group. It was quite different. It was nice, as I said, a little break, but like now as we've gone into this sort of period of lockdown, it's a bit different because we do know, like we obviously had a championship last year, so we do know we are going to be back sooner rather than later. So it's a little bit different, but it was just the kind of the unknown and making that work and doing whatever we could to, I suppose, best prepare ourselves for when we did come back.
I really got the impression lads were happier that they could see their clubmates before as well.
Yeah, it was the club thing was big. I know probably after they probably got a bit of negative press, but the actual club championship itself was brilliant. Like it was fantastic. Like being able to train with all them guys you grew up with, and it was really, you just showed up to train and you trained and you went home. It's so different than inter-county, like, and I hadn't really experienced that in so long. You nearly forget what it's like. Like we won the club championship, we were training in a public park. Because we couldn't train in the clubhouse or anything like that. And yeah, it was really, really, it was just different. It was that kind of amateur sort of thing, and it was nice playing with all them guys, as I said, that I would have grown up with and been friends with throughout the years. And it was just, yeah, it was just a little bit more relaxed, I suppose.
John,
just the last, sorry, Don.
Was it a bit like homeschooling with the kids now? They're all at home doing and then you go back to school and join up with the lads again.
Yeah, exactly. You're going from it's totally different. Like it is totally different county and club, but it was a nice because we hadn't really got that. Like say even the previous years, you'd be coming back from a setup with Dublin, and you're kind of tired or even mentally fatigued, and you're going into a club setup and they're not really getting the best shit. It was just a different dynamic, and it was, as I said, it was something different, and we made it work. So, and obviously we got the reward at the end. So,
in general, are people happy enough then with the format for this year that it's kind of the pathway is laid out, and there's, I guess, the uncertainty is gone anyway?
Yeah, like they split the season, which makes sense. It does make sense, I'm sure. But I said now that it will have that sort of, this is the club season, this is the county season. I see the club association has disbanded now because that's all they ever wanted. They have it now. So yeah, but I think it makes sense. It's great you get the inter-county season and you get the club season as well. So I think it's good.
And in fairness, Don, like watching some of the Champions League games this week, we've had racing since June or whatever. So, you know, if you're a racing fan, you haven't had an awful lot to complain about because there's always something on. But I got tremendous enjoyment out of the inter-county games, you know, late last year. Obviously the two provincial winners out of the blue, but also the hurling, and I'm sure you enjoyed it as well. And it was just great to have it, and the quality on performance that the players produce.
Yeah, I know it was great that it went ahead, as John said there. And yeah, like I suppose you didn't watching the games on television. After a little while, you nearly forgot there was no one there. You know, it was kind of you're focusing on the games and the hurling as well. You know, Limerick were brilliant, and the ladies' football as well was pretty, like, for Dublin to win it again. Like that was a great series as well to watch. And I suppose you know you pay more attention to that. I suppose you know when it's so important to everybody, but. It was great that it went ahead. Great that they got through the championships. And yeah, like as you say, with racing, like we had 2.5 months off. That was all. And it is a bit surreal. Like I'm one of the lucky ones. I get to go racing for work sometimes these days. So it's a bit kind of weird being there with no people there. But it's meetings, you kind of get used to it okay. But for the bigger meetings, like for Leopardstown, the Dublin Racing Festival, that was really eerie having Honey Suffolk with his enclosure and nobody there to welcome her back in, you know. But, you know, as you say, Johnny, it's great that it's going ahead.
Well, to be honest now, I'm delighted I'm not going to Cheltenham because I have found it difficult going to just racing behind closed doors, obviously. But it was actually striking, John, particularly watching some of the hurling games when Waterford were going well and Limerick. There was actually a bit of an atmosphere in an 82,000-seater Croke Park just generated by the lads on the bench. And it just kind of showed the passion that these lads have for it.
Yeah, huge. Our club was similar, like even because the later stages were played in Parnell Park. And I remember our manager saying to the lads, I don't want to be outshouted here. So they wanted so when the free taker was stepping up, they were making plenty of noise and banging on the chairs in front of them. But yeah, no, it was great. It was great. As Don said, it was brilliant to be able to get it played. And I think it was good quality as well. So.
Let's move to Cheltenham then. What are you going to be doing next week, John? Will you be able to watch it? Are you going to be, you have a new house as well, so I presume you'll be set up with a bar in the corner and kind of some lad taking bets in the other corner.
I've the week off work I'm in on Monday and then I'm off then after that. So yeah, I'll definitely get to watch it. It's a big, I always take the week off for it. So yeah, I'll just watch it the way I normally would. Probably bring a few of my mates and stuff and yeah, just enjoy the quality of the racing because it's brilliant week.
What'll it be like for you, Don?
It'll be strange, Johnny, not being there. But as you say, I'm like you. I'm glad I'm not going. You know, I kind of didn't even think it was an option. I didn't even think it was a possibility that I was going. You know, I was never really. But yeah, it'll be different for me. Like you know, I'll be working, but I'll be working from home. I won't be working from Cheltenham, from the press room in Cheltenham. I'll be working from here, so I'll enjoy it. I suppose it has been quite a low-key build-up to Cheltenham, but now that we're kind of into it, we're you have 6-day declarations yesterday for the first day, so now we're into the final, you know, the run-in. So yeah, look, I'll enjoy it for sure once it starts. It's been a very different build-up this year. Well,
you call it a low-key build-up, but like. The irony of that statement is that racing was probably never in the news as much globally from Claire Byrne to CNN as it was last year. What was the week like for you in that regard?
Yeah, it was
last week
busy
even, yeah.
And strange, I'm sure, like it was for you. Yeah, but it wasn't. I suppose it wasn't about Cheltenham. So that, you know, normally 2 weeks before Cheltenham, it's all about Cheltenham. It's only about Cheltenham and what's going to run or where they're going to run. And this year, I suppose as well, that we don't have these pre-Cheltenham evenings around the country, so you're not driving down the country to go to a pre-Cheltenham evening. So, and there's not the buzz that generates as well. And obviously, there were different racing headlines last week than we're used to for Cheltenham. But yeah, it was all very, very strange.
I know you've always been kind of a fan of the Gordon Elliott yard, John, but I did get the impression that you thought it was maybe slightly overblown, and I think the passage of time might agree with you on that as much as the VHA seems to be still having an issue with it. What did you make of it?
Yeah, look, obviously what happened shouldn't have happened. It was, on Gordon's behalf, it was quite crass and callous, maybe you could use to describe it. I do think that no one would regret it more than Gordon himself. And look at the sort of fallout from it in terms of the owners and stuff like that. His sponsorship he's lost, and the abuse he's taken on social media. I think it's just time for people to maybe just relax about it now and move on. Like, I'm sure Gordon regrets it so much what happened. So yeah, I don't think there's any need to keep bringing it back up to the surface.
How do you find social media yourself? You don't really use it that much, like, but it can come out particularly badly, I think, in a week like that.
Yeah, like it was. I just said, even anecdotally, like people that I know that never watched a horse race in their life or nothing to do with horse racing or anything are commenting on something, and like as I said, it was like national news, and it can just be like, it's people like, there's nasty stuff. You have to remember this is a person, like, and I know what he did wrong, but. I thought it was just maybe some of the abuse he got was undeserved, but again, what he did was absolutely wrong and distasteful, or whatever way you want to describe it. But I think social media in that kind of situation can be a little bit over the top.
And you the brief flirtation with social media, Don?
Yeah, no, I'm not at all, Johnny. No, I echo a lot of what John said. Like, it's time to move on. He shouldn't have done it. It was really indefensible what he did. It was really awful. But like, my whole point in all of this is Gordon Elliott could not have achieved the results that he's achieved with horses if they didn't get the best care that they could possibly get in his care. So, like, you know, and that together with the punishment that he's already received, yeah, look, it's time to move on. And for the staff as well in the yard, it's great that the yard can continue under Denise Foster, Sneezy Foster, and there are 80, 78 people employed in the yard. So it's very important for those people and those jobs that it continued on. So look, it was correct that he was banned. That was correct, I think. But as John says, it's time to move on.
Yeah, I feel as well the people that were, you know, pontificating about animal welfare, they should maybe look at the welfare of staff in racing who work very, very hard, very, very long hours, and basically do work that a lot of people like that live in cities and so forth just wouldn't do. It's hard work and they do it for the love of the game. And maybe think more about like the meat that they consume and how those animals are treated, because horses are looked after arguably better than humans in some instances. They're just manicured at the top level. But we're going to go to a break very, very shortly, but just before we do, quickly, lads, starting with you, Don, how's your Cheltenham anti-post book looking?
It's got the usual, Johnny, the usual mix of good and bad. On the whole, the expected value is probably a bit higher than it started off, so that's good. So yeah, we've got a few good ones in the book, which we'll probably speak about after the break. I won't speak too much about the bad ones because most of them just aren't running. So yeah. But
that feeling.
It's looking okay.
Yeah, John, you've been raving about Ballyadam since time immemorial, so you're probably on at a fancy price, yeah?
Yeah, he's one. I have a few nice ones, but I don't know. We'll probably touch on in the second part of the show, but I don't know if he'd be the favourite, but I have him at a nice price.
Typical Dublin footballer, completely playing down like a really good situation. Let's go to a short break. And if you are worried that this preview is going to go on for 2 or 3 hours because we still haven't talked about horses yet, no, trust me, we will be done very shortly, but we're going to lash to the 4 days. Yeah, you're welcome back to The Punt in association with William Hill. Just on the break here, it turns out this is actually, it's explained why I was pretty crap as an underage everything, and why Don and John and John's son will be all high achievers. Both of you were born in January. Not only that, John,
the same category as John Small.
Yeah, you were a high achiever. You got onto inter-county minor panel. John, not only were you born in January, but you somehow timed that young Charlie was born in January 2nd, which is more or less the equivalent of a rugby player hitting it like a yard short of the line for a penalty. What unbelievable stuff! This man's going to play for Dublin.
I don't know. Let's see what he wants to do. But yeah, it was good. It was good timing if that is what he wants to do. Yeah, I was saying to the lads there, if they've ever read Outliers, it would suggest that it's a good time to be born.
Yeah. Well, as opposed to November. Anyway, we must appreciate it in terms of the races that's ahead. Let's get straight into it. Starting with you, John Small. Ballyadam, I like this horse each way. I like his run behind Appreciate at the Dublin Racing Festival. We're now on to the Supreme Novices Hurdle. Start off our Cheltenham preview on Tuesday. William Hill goes 11-8. Appreciate it. Ballyadam is 5-1. What is your take on the race?
I do think Appreciate is very hard to beat. He seems to have a really high cruising speed and gets horses out of the comfort zone very early. Ballyadam, I just don't like Appreciate's run against horses already beaten so many times. Then the English contingent doesn't look great. Like Media is their best hope. The second to him there last day was hammered in the Betfair. Like I don't know, it's hard to see past Appreciate, to be honest. Ballyadam, he might run into a place, but I don't see him being the favourite.
Don, it's interesting because Appreciated, he's kind of done very little wrong over hurdles, but as some people would say, he was fairly brushed aside at this meeting last year, which might put a little bit of a doubt in your head. Yeah,
like it depends how good you think Fernie Hollow is, and I think Fernie Hollow is could be quite a special horse. So it's a shame he's out for the season. And wasn't it? Yeah. At the start of this season, Fernie Hollow was the 2 miler and Appreciated was the 2.5 miler, and we hadn't heard of Gaillard Dominion. So you know, and now Fernie Hollow's out, so suddenly Appreciated. In fairness, like he has shown pace to win over 2 miles, but I just worry that he might get done for toe on better ground. And like Ballyadam, he's all pace, isn't he? Like he could, although he was beaten by him at Leopardstown over Christmas, or sorry, at the Dublin Racing Festival, he could get close.
Gordon's horses were more or less out of form, I think, for the penultimate run, and it was much, much better at the Dublin Race Festival.
Well, that's it. And even then, they were just coming back to form, you felt. He still had a couple of horses underperformed at the Dublin Racing Festival. So, but yeah, I agree with you. At Christmas time, lots of his horses underperformed, and they were better at the Dublin Racing Festival. So Ballyadam could improve again. But I agree with John on the British. Like Metier, like he won a Tolworth hurdle on heavy ground. Soaring Glory won a Betfair hurdle off a mark of 133. Like, I think they'll probably have to improve to beat the best of the Irish. Blue Lord is interesting in there. I thought Blue Lord was a horse for the Ballymore. I thought 2.5 months, but he's not settling. Like when he ran the Lawlers race at Naas, he didn't settle. When Bob Bollinger, I thought he did very well to finish second behind Bob Bollinger that day. I just thought if he settled a bit better, maybe with a hood over 2.5, we get a faster pace at Cheltenham, even over 2.5. But it looks like he's going for the Supreme, which is interesting. Like Willie Mullins obviously feels that he can be competitive in a Supreme, and obviously the faster pace of a Supreme, that should help him settle better, all right.
Yeah, I think Appreciated will be a drifter on the day. He's one to keep an eye on with Hills. I think you might get a lot bigger than the present price. Don, sticking with you, just moving on to the Arkle, this is a fascinating race. Shishkin Energumene, if you look at the winning distances of Energumene over fences and the fact that he's trained by Willie Mullins, it's hard to believe that he's not favourite, but he's meeting Shishkin. Then you have the pace angle of the race and All Mankind, who was my anti-post selection on the 42 website. I can't wait for this.
Yeah, no, this is a hell of a race. It's the 2 mile distance. It's the sprint distance of National Hunt Racing, and for novices to be taking each other on over 2 miles. No, it's brilliant. And one's trained in Britain and one's trained in Ireland. One by Nicky Henderson, one by Willie Mullins. So you have it all there. And it's just, I just be a little bit worried about Energumene on better ground. I know they never have it fast for the first day.
I agree.
Yeah, there's rain forecast. But look, Shishkin, he's just done everything, hasn't he? And he's won the Supreme Novice Hurdle. So Energumene has never run at Cheltenham. Shishkin has. And I just thought he jumped a little bit to his right as well the last couple of times. It's a little bit of a concern. Like you can get away with, obviously Gordon Park was right-handed, and at Naas they went around the outside, so it wasn't a negative to be jumping to your right. But at Cheltenham, you're turning all the time. Like it's a turning track.
Look at that steering for Lawrence last year, like.
Yeah, well, exactly. So any right-leaning tendencies, they're accentuated at Cheltenham, I think. And look, I might be wrong, and Willie Mullins or Paul Tennant, they don't seem to be concerned about it. So, look, he's a massively talented horse with a huge engine. I just think in Shishkin he's meeting a formidable rival, isn't he?
I like Shishkin. I think he'll win. Darver Star, if he goes, John, Gavin Coleman's horses are coming back into form after a similar kind of sickness blip to Gordon Elliott's. And the horse that was placed in the champion hurdle, you can get 40-1 with Hills. And you can almost probably forget about his last couple of runs. But would you be in the Shishkin camp?
Yeah, I think Shishkin's potentially a superstar. Energumene's really good. It's very similar to what Don said. I think that Energumene probably needs a little bit softer, and Shishkin can actually improve the ground being a bit better. And I think he'll win.
This is lovely. We are brevity really is the soul of our wit here. No messing about into the champion hurdle. There'll be no messing about here, John, in terms of pace. This is going to be intriguing in terms of the tactics. Goshen emerged from basically the darkness of what followed his fall in the Triumph Hurdle last year and some indifferent runs in the flat to absolutely demolish his rivals last time. It emerges. I think he was even second favourite briefly. He's actually second favourite with Hills at 130. He's ahead of Epton in the betting. Honeysuckle produced an extraordinary performance at Leopardstown, really, where the race run about a mile out, which was saying something considering it was only a 2 mile race. Then you have Sharjah, who has a bit of previous in this race. Saldier might be running here. He's a 66-1 chance if he should show up. And my selection in the race, who I believe is Don's as well, having read his Sunday Times column, we'll get to that briefly. Are you in the Honeysuckle camp, John?
Yeah, like it's going to be very hard for anyone to give a horse that quality the allowance she's getting. And that number, like 10 wins in a row, it's difficult to see. Like, she's definitely going to go off favourite. Like I was thinking maybe Abracadabras each way, ran like twice at Cheltenham, was fourth in the bumper, and obviously that run with Shishkin last year, 10 lengths to make up. I think he'll run a bit better, and he'll probably get 4th place on the day. So I might do Abracadabras each way, but I think Honeysuckle's most likely winner.
I hear a kind of a klaxon or some sort of a warning alarm going off in the background, Don, because we're all in the camp of a horse who basically is probably something of a rogue and is fourth favourite and has gone on a losing streak that even I couldn't match, yet you like him as well, Abacadabras.
Yeah, he's the horse who ran out in the bumper at Leopardstown there a couple of years ago behind Enval.
He would have been born in December if he were a Gaelic football player.
Yeah. But no, like I echo a lot of what John said. Look, Honeysuckle, she's unbelievable. Like, you have to love Honeysuckle, really, and Rachel Blackmore, and you'd love to see her winning a champion hurdle. She won the Mayor's Hurdle last year over 2.5. I thought she was a 2.5 miler. I thought that was her trip until the Irish champion hurdle this year, when she just, like, the way she quickened at the third last, pricked her ears, pinged the second last, and then just went further and further away. It was a remarkable performance, I thought. So look, it's great that she's going for the champion this year. She gets the £7 allowance, like Epatante, as John was saying. So yeah, look, I think it's right that she's favourite in front of Epatante, for all that Epatante is the reigning champion. She has to bounce back from her Christmas hurdle run. I'm sure she will, but I just think Honeysuckle might have improved past her. But Abigail is the value for me. Like, his run in the hurdle last year was a remarkable run, because he didn't have the run of the race. He was left in front too early with the Schmozzle at the second last. And look, Shishkin was under pressure earlier than him, and he did very well to get back up and beat him. But he, like, if you watch it again, Shishkin went actually past him halfway up the running, and he was coming back at him going to the line. So I don't subscribe to the notion that he didn't get up the hill. I thought he just got lonely in front. And if it can be,
agree,
if it can get there with a well-timed run, which I'm sure he will be delivered with a well-timed run by Jack Kennedy, that could be that potent turn of foot that he has on better ground than he encountered the last day at Leopardstown. Plus, Honeysuckle went clear, and he had to do all his running to try and reel her in, whereas in the champion hurdle, you'd imagine he'd have other horses around him that might tow him into the race better. So yeah, I just think I think whatever has 9-1 about him, I think that's bigger than it should be, and he was bigger a few days earlier.
Cast your mind back to the Cheltenham of last year, 12 months ago. You and I were there. We spoke about it at the time. We were like, this is the weirdest Cheltenham ever in terms of the vibe. But then this year came along. There's nobody there. It's probably weirder. What price did Shishkin go off, do you remember, in the Supreme?
13-2, 6-1.
6-1. What price did Abacadabras go off?
Shorter, I'd say.
11-4.
Yeah.
There was a massive gamble on him, and Shishkin drifted like an absolute barge. And you do kind of try to anticipate these Cheltenham gambles. I think Abacadabras will be very popular, even though John thinks Honeysuckle will definitely go off favourite. I think it's going to be fascinating. While you're there, Don, I was talking to John before the show, and I was like, we're on about the dilution of races at Cheltenham. I was like, oh yeah, sure, I always preferred the 3-day festival, didn't I, like yourself? And then I was like, do you even remember the 3-day festival? And he said, only vaguely, which kind of was quite depressing, really, because I'm actually now 10 years older than him. So the 3-day festival, the 4-day festival, you and I can certainly remember the 3-day festival. I'm going to ask you, Don, for your other selections, if you have them on day one. I'm going to give Zafanian in the Fred Winter. I love the way he travels that Nace, and 130 is quite a nice mark. We have also the National Hunt Chase. We have, obviously I mentioned the Fred Winter. We have the Mayor's Hurdle as well, and we have the Ultima.
Yeah, I hope Cocoa Beach runs in the National Hunt Chase, because he wasn't going to go for it. I think after he won the 10-up chase, he said he was going for the Irish National, but he was left in yesterday, and he was left in the Ultima as well. He's rated 150, so like Royal Pagal, it looks like he's going to run the National Hunt Chase, and he sets the standard. He could be a Gold Cup horse if they ran him in that. Like, he'd only be third or fourth favourite for the Gold Cup if he ran in that. So he's a player. But Cocoa Beach is rated 150. He jumped so well in winning the Tayestes. I think going into the National Hunt Chase on a mark of 150, that's a good mark. Whereas if he were to run in an Ultima off 150, it's hard to win an Ultima off that type of handicap rating. So if he runs in the National Hunt Chase, then he'd be what I'd want there. Look, it's hard to see beyond Concertista. I think in the Mayor's Hurdle, it looks like Roxana's going to go there as well, so that's good. It'll be a good race between the two of them. Dame de Compagnie, she's switching back from fences back to hurdles as well for the Mayor's Hurdle, but Concertista was so good last year in the Mayor's Novices Hurdle. She seems to have improved this year. She gets 2.5 miles well as well, so I think she's the right favourite for that. But the Cocoa Beach would be my other alternative on the first day if he goes for the National Hunt Chase, not the Ultima.
And the boy Smalley, you were probably like an under 12 winding up opposition forwards when it was a 3-day festival, were you?
Well, what year was the 3-day festival? When did you move?
When did it actually change, Don?
It's a while ago. I'd say, was it?
Well,
I'm saying about 15 years off the top of my head.
Yeah. 2005. Was it? Because they got rid of the cat cart. They introduced whatever 4 or 5 more races, and they got rid of the cat cart. And I think the Coral Hurdle was in before that already. So yeah, it's I think that like just on age and stuff. I was talking last night somebody else about when we were talking about Shishkin and Energumen. I was saying it's kind of like Bob's line and Noddy's ride. There it goes. Who's that?
Yeah, even I don't remember them. Let's get to former under 14 winder up at forward, Sean Small. What are your other bets for the Tuesday?
I kind of a little bit disagree with Don. I thought that Roxana was actually a good value against Concertiste. Like she has all the form in the book. Like she was only beaten less than 2 lengths by Paisley Park and Tiny Hill. I know it was over a different distance, but then she's also beaten Next Destination over hurdles. It's kind of a case of proven form versus potential. And I thought I'd probably rather back Roxana at the bigger price, three times the price of Concierge.
Don?
Yeah, no, look, I think Roxana, she's a very good horse. I just wonder, is 2.5 miles going to be in the sharp side for her? You know, she's a lot of her good form is over 3 miles. She stays 3 miles well. And look, she has won a mare's hurdle. I know she won it. She was a bit fortuitous in winning it, but she has won one. And yeah, no, I think she's Concertiste's main danger.
I think Great White Shark, wherever she runs, will run very well on the much better ground. I think the Galmoy was an absolute bog. You can forget about that. Any horse wins. To me, if you have good flat horses like that can win Premier Handicaps, they don't want bottomless ground. She's not bred for it. But she has like 3 options maybe over the week. She's in one of the handicaps. And she's in the stairs race as well. So it'd be interesting where she goes. Keep an eye out for the Great White Shark. On to the Ballymore Novices Hurdle. Don, having a bit of banter with the lads in another preview night where it was suggested that Bob Ollinger was actually supposed to be called Bollinger, but they just basically made a bit of a mess of it. So whatever you want to call him, Bob Olinger or Bob Ollinger, does he win the Ballymore to start off day 2?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's the one they have to beat. I suppose, as well as his form, and his form is very good, it's the regard in which he appears to have been held always by Henry de Brouwhead and his team. He just seem to love this horse, don't they? And to get as close as he got to Fernie Hollow, we talked about Fernie Hollow earlier on, I think that was a big run over 2 miles, which is probably short of his best. Then he danced in his maiden, and then his run the last day in the Lawless of Nace hotel race. That was a very good run. Like, I know Blue Lord was a bit keen early on, but he just quickened and beat him and jumped well enough. And there just seems to be a very strong vibe from him as well. So I think this is tripping. I don't think he's confirmed yet for the Ballymore. I think Henry de Brouwhead is still thinking about the Supreme. But I don't know what you think, Johnny, but when a horse gets a trip and he does get 2.5 miles, even if he has pace, like he pace enough to get to within the length of Fernie Hollow over 2 miles, I still think that the longer trip is probably, relative to the opposition, the better trip for him.
Well, as well as that, I think it's a major plus in terms of his chance, because if you have the speed that he thinks you can compete in, what clearly is a deeper Supreme. I mean, I don't know how you could look at it and say it isn't, because maybe you guys don't think the British Challenge is that good, but I still think John Joe's horse and Meteor are very interesting in terms of the upward progression they have and the speed that Meteor has off the flat. There's no doubt Bob Ollinger will get this trip easily. He'll probably get 3 miles. So if he thinks he's fast enough, that's a potent. If you have the speed to basically quicken away from the second last year under a ride in which you're almost certain to be well placed, I think that's a positive. John, I like this horse. I'm just a bit surprised maybe at how short he's become, but I think Jamie Codd and David Russell have been singing his praises of late.
Yeah, the race kind of revolves around the 3 at the head of the market. I actually thought I liked Braveman's game. I thought he's the biggest price of the 3. I thought his run in the Shallow was very good. Like if he beat Stargate by 10 lengths. If Stargate was run this, he'd probably be 4th favourite. Paul Nichols seems to think he's really, really good horse. Obviously, keeps the comparison with Denman. He might need a step up in trip, but I thought he was probably the value against the 2 at the William Mullins and the Bromhead horse.
It's all about the value, and for me, as much as I think Shackleton first of all is the most likely winner of the Queen Mother, LTR 13-2 each way is a far better bet for me, John. Obviously, the British, they do love a story of a horse coming back, and he's had a bit of a checkered year or so. Obviously, his comeback run wasn't that bad, I thought. But Nicky Henderson trains his horse for Cheltenham. He was in controversy earlier in the season about the way he was treating this horse in terms of not running him earlier on, and I didn't think his comeback run was that bad. The vibes are good out the yard. Shackleton Pursuit still has to prove he has to get up the hill. He's a 10-11 favourite. If you're laying bets by your bar in your house next week in the north side of Dublin, are you laying even money this Shackleton, or are you backing him at 10-11?
As you said, he's definitely the most likely winner. Like, he was so impressive the last day. But LTR is decent value. He's 11 years of age though, and he's probably on a decline. He hasn't, like, I know you said his comeback run wasn't that bad. Like, it wouldn't have filled you with massive confidence either. I think Shackleton Pursuit will win. But just on another point, going back to what you said earlier, I think it's kind of frustrating the amount of short price favourites at Cheltenham this year. Like, I can't remember it, like, again, anecdotally, that there's been so many short price favourites in all the Grade 1 races.
Yeah, we've another one to talk about as well in the form of Monkfish, who's running on the same day. But I guess the point here, Don, which is, we should have championship races when you're like, God, you have 5 or 6 horses here with a really good chance, and maybe we do have some exceptional horses this season. But for me, all this diluting of races, bringing in mares just to stick to their own grade where they can be sent off odds on and win a race 3 or 4 times in a row, it's completely the antithesis to what Cheltenham should be to me. But yeah, I would argue, Don, maybe they're more likely to go 5 days than 3.
I think that's absolutely right, Johnny, which is regrettable, but it's going, like, commercially. You can see the argument, but it's like at some point you're going to stretch the elastic band too far. It's not, like, you have the magic of Cheltenham now, and I'm a firm believer in, if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. Like, if you go to 5, like if you go to 5 days, and the argument is that, well, there are 28 races now, you only need to add 2 races for 5 days, 6 races each day. And the races are already lining up.
Might as well turn into Galway or the Stole at that stage.
Yeah, like, it just, and if you took, like, for example, if you took out the Ryanair chase, like, you'd have Allaho going for maybe a Gold Cup, you'd have Min, maybe, I don't know, Min and Mellon, either Champion Chase or Gold Cup. If you had no Mares Hurdle, you'd have Concertista probably in the Champion Hurdle, so just to what John was saying on the short price favourites, if you had those horses in those races, the favourites wouldn't be as short as they are, obviously.
Shackleton Pursuit, yes or no?
I'm a Put the Kettle On fan. I think she's underrated. Yeah, I just think back at Cheltenham, she's 3 for 3 at Cheltenham on that course, on the old course, back on better ground. I don't think she got the credit she should have got for winning the Arkle last year. She was a big price winner, and I think people kind of put it down as a fluke. But she and Fakir Dairies came miles clear of the rest. And I just think she's an underrated horse. I think back at Cheltenham we'll see a different horse. Back at Cheltenham on better ground. It was soft ground when she won the Arkle last year. Better ground, I think she'll improve again. And I think it looks like she's going to go for this instead of the Mares Chase, which I think is right, because 2 miles is a trip. And yeah, I think Shackleton Pursuit, as you say, Johnny, he hasn't run at Cheltenham before, so we just don't know. And when you're looking at a short price horse like that, you're looking for reasons why he might not win. And that's one reason why he might not win. Like, he could power up the hill. It could be the making of him. He could be even better at Cheltenham than he is at Leopardstown, but we don't know that he can do it yet. Hopefully he gets there, because, as you know, he was ruled out in the morning of the race last year. So hopefully he does get there and everything is well with him and he runs, because then we'll know. But I think Put the Kettle On is the value of the race.
If Put the Kettle On wins the Champion Chase, I will not only, I haven't had you and Rachel over for dinner, but I'll bring you and Rachel and the entire kids, the entire family out to your favourite restaurant, and I'll buy you all the meal of your choice.
You have to wait for level 2 or level 1, Johnny. That's going to be a while.
I know. No deadline on that, but mark my words, I'll bring you all out, because that is not going to happen. Or if it is, I literally drop my pants and whatever. Not in the restaurant, obviously. John, this is the show.
Sorry for cutting across. If it was soft for I did think, obviously, first row was really impressive. The lad, like, he's won the place. Like, I think if it did get soft, he's a great chance.
Well, it's interesting because First Flow is probably a bit like Put the Kettle On in that they're not possibly getting the credit they deserve, and he was a big prize First Flow the last against Blitlow, but there wasn't really any fluke about it. Monkfish for me is probably the greatest certainty of all time in the Brown Advisory Novice Chase, John, otherwise known as the artist formerly known as the RSA Chase. I love this horse. Can he be beaten?
No, I think like whatever he is now with William Hill 8 to 11, I think he definitely will go off at 1 to 2 or shorter. I think he's running against horses he's already beaten, and he's getting better and better. I told you the other day I backed him to win the Gold Cup for 2022. So if I think he's winning that, he should be winning this. Yeah,
we'll have a chat about Gold Cup 22 before the end as well.
What price did you back with, John, for next year's Gold Cup? Interesting.
14 to 1.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, if you Dutch him and Envoy Alain, I don't think you can go too far wrong.
No. But this is what I'm saying. Could you imagine if they were taking each other on over 3 miles, or if Ben Boy Allen went back to 2 miles? Imagine he was running against Shishkin and Energy, what a race you'd have there. Like, it's just...
This is exactly the point, because having 3 novice chases, not to mind the kind of keeping the mares apart, it's just not right. Don, I imagine you're not opposing Monkfish, and while you're there, you might as well give us something else for day 2.
No, I'm not opposing Monkfish. Yeah, look, he's like what he did last year. I thought was just he was keen through the Albert Bartlett hurdle, and then when Fury Road and latest exhibition came either side of him, he battled on again, and I thought that was a phenomenal performance. And he jumps fences well. He's
spectacularly well.
Yeah. So yeah, 40 to 1 at next year's Gold Cup. I wouldn't throw that one away, John.
Also on day 2, we have the Coral Cup. We have the bumper cross-country chase. So there's kind of doubts. Another sign of social media at its worst. A fake account set up suggesting Easy Land wasn't going to run. We have the Grand Annual as well, John. What do you like?
Yeah, I don't have huge opinions on any of those races, really. I think the bumper is fascinating, obviously. What do you make of Kilcrut?
It's easy flattered by the last day. It was interesting reading Patrick Mullins. I think it was his column afterwards, and I was like, I'm not sure Patrick thought he was going to win like that, and he had the odd doubt. And I think they fell into his lap a bit in the straight. So I'm open-minded.
They went fast, didn't they? And in the back of your head was that I think Willie thought Ramier's was the best.
Yeah.
And Patrick wanted to ride Kilcrut. Now the market followed Patrick, so that was significant as well. And he was seriously impressive visually. But no, I agree with that. I think there's a wee chance that he might have been flattered. Look, he could still win a champion bumper, but I think he's priced up on that performance. And because they went so fast early on, he just might have been flattered a little bit by the visuals of it,
Don Small?
I think didn't he beat Ballycarn that won there the other day for Gordon as well, or for Gordon? No, I think Sir Gerard is very good, and it would, I'd say, totally depend on price who would be backing between the two. As Don said, they seem to go very fast, and he kind of picked up a piece the last day, Kilcrut. I think Sir Gerard is very good, though. I probably they're coming together closer in the market now, but I'd say I back the bigger of the two on the day.
And anything else for you on day 2?
I backed Kashari for the Coral Cup, nice price a few weeks ago. I backed him straight after he ran at Leopardstown the last day. He was 6th. He kind of made a mistake on the 3rd or 4th, and then Paul Townend didn't give him a hard time, and he ran home very well. So I set up back in the next day, and I saw he was in the Coral Cup.
Excellent. Such a modest man. Back to him at a nice price. Won't even reveal the value that you got. Are you on Envoy Alain at a nice price? He is the star attraction for me on day 3.
No, I don't. But I don't see anything being able to beat him. I think actually that's probably the weakest of the novice chases, and I think he'll win. But again, he's not going to show us anything he hasn't showed us already. The English horses seem to be weak enough as well, so I think he just wins.
It was interesting, Don. I was watching. There was a 3-mile novice chase at Catterick on the other day, and there was a horse sent off 1 to 12. And I was like, what does it take to back a horse in a 3-mile novice chase at 1 to 12? So obviously you can't remount, so he has to get over. And what price is he fence per fence? And would you have that bet? You're getting 8 to 11 on a horse here who just has to get around over 2.5 miles.
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah. That's a. Like there are occasions on which odds on is value. There aren't many there, but there are occasions where 1 to 12 bet any horse or a novice chase or a Catterick Did it win, by the way? Did it win?
It did win.
Oh, good.
It was value.
Yeah, it was value. Yeah, I love that phrase. It was value.
Yeah.
Sales at 4 to 6. It came up. It was value at 4 to 6.
If it wins, it's value. And this lad, to be fair, he's breathtaking.
Oh yeah, no, he's phenomenal. He's phenomenal. Like, he does everything. He does it easily. And even when he had to battle in the bumper last year, he could battle. No, he's a phenomenon, really. And yeah. Not that you want to be wishing away another year of your life, but if he and Monkfish happen to meet in a Gold Cup in 12 months' time, please God, that'd be some tussle, wouldn't it, if they both arrive healthy and well?
The Ryanair and Stairs Hurdle, your two selections there.
Yeah, the Ryanair, I think this is one of the most interesting races of the week. It's not the Gold Cup or Champion Hurdle, but I think a lot of different strands are coming together, like the three Willie Mullins horses, Allaho, and Mellon, who's going to ride what. Mr. Fisher's in there, and Better Ground will be better. And I think Fakir De Dairies, if he goes here, I think he could be the underrated one. He, again, back to the Arkle form of last year, I think it's underrated. He would have got closer to put the kettle on had he not made a pretty bad mistake on the second last fence. And this year, he got beaten by Notebook on his debut, and then he ran in the Savills Chase over 3 miles, which he was actually travelling quite well for a long way. He and Aplutar made their ground, and his stamina just ran out, and Mark Walsh pulled him up after the second last, which was wise. And then last time back over 2 miles, or 2 miles, 1.5 furlongs, he gave Shaka Pressoir a little bit of a race. He finished second to him with Notebook. So I just think that back to 2.5 miles, he won a Drinmore Chase over 2.5. I know Sam Crow fell at the second last fence that day.
Might have beaten him anyway.
Yeah, in hindsight, he probably would. And he's got good Cheltenham Festival form as well. Obviously, in the Arkle, he finished 4th in the Supreme Novices Hurdle as a 4-year-old. He won a novice hurdle, the juvenile hurdle there in January of that year. It was juvenile year. So he's a horse he's pretty battle hardened, but I think a goodish ground, good to soft ground, over 2.5 miles at Cheltenham, that should suit him really well. And I think he's overpriced in the Ryanair.
Stairs Hurdle?
Stairs Hurdle, Fury Road was my horse for the Stairs Hurdle. I'm not sure he's going to go there now, because after the Boyne Hurdle, when he got beaten by Beacon Edge, the trainer said he wasn't going to go. The owner said he was. So hopefully he goes, because like Time Hill and Paisley Park, it's all, everyone's a Time Hill or Paisley Park fan. Time Hill finished behind Fury Road in the Albert Park Hurdle last year, and he's a 3-to-1. Fury Road's a 16-to-1 shot. I think that's the wrong way around.
Well, much. It was interesting to Davy Russell talking about how well this horse works, and he's in great nick. And your point about what the trainer said after the Boyne Hurdle doesn't matter anymore, because he doesn't train the horse anymore. So I imagine he will be going to Cheltenham. John, what do you like in the Big Two on the Thursday?
I like Mr. Fisher in the Ryanair. I was impressed with him the last day at Cheltenham in December. He beat Kalashnikov, giving him £3. And the Ryanair has definitely been his aim for the year. So I think he's a bit of value. And in the Stairs, I don't have a huge opinion. Like Donald, Fury Road, considering how well he ran last year in the Albert Bartlett. And then I was looking at Linegar Oscar. You can get 21-1. And I was thinking maybe doing him each way. Like I don't know. I think if Paisley Park came back to his best, he'd probably win it. But probably look something for at a bigger price than that.
Yeah, I think it's quite open. We also have the Kim Muir, the Mayor's Novice Hurdle place, and the Pertemps on day 2. The Mayor's Novice Hurdle is actually very interesting, because the weights of the race give Royal Kahala a very good chance in theory of reversing form of Rosie's Hollow from Fairyhouse, but I think one of them has a great chance of that. And for you on day 3, John, otherwise?
Hello, Johnny.
Yeah.
I'm a Rosie's Hollow fan. I thought she was very good the last day, but I don't think Royal Kahala travelled with her usual version of the race. And as I say about the weight, she was giving her £4, or she was giving her £5, and she's getting 4, or she was giving her 5 or 4, and she's getting
£7 swing.
Yeah. So I think she's got a serious turn of foot. Now I know she's been at Ferry. It's all been deployed at Fairyhouse. We don't know how she's going to get on the Cheltenham, but we don't know how any of them are going to get on the Cheltenham really.
Yeah.
So I think she's in. Rosie's Hollow is, I think, coming back down to 2 miles will suit her. Mark Walsh and Jonathan Sweeney both thought after the Solarina hurdle that back to 2 miles was 2.25, so back to 2 miles would suit her better. But I think Royal Kahala getting weight, if she runs a race, then I think she's probably the one there. All right.
Very briefly, Anton Nelson, day 3.
The Pretenders final, I think Linwood Gold is interesting. He stayed on really well the last day to finish 6th in the Punchestown qualifier, which has produced Maldini, presenting Percy, Delta Workdale, went on to win the final from that race. That was his first run since he ran in the Cesarewitch at Newmarket. He's rated in the 90s as a flat horse. He stayed the 3-mile trip well. If that race brings him forward a little bit, then yeah, he's £4 higher in Britain than he is in Ireland. He's 134 in Britain, so that's fair enough. The Boss's Oscar, I like him, but he got £8 more. He's 151, so I think he'll run a big race, but that just makes it a bit harder than it would have been if he got 3 or 4 instead of 8. John?
I did Shantou Flyer in the Kimure, really, really good record around Cheltenham. 11 stone 7 is what he's carrying. I backed him each way, and that's really all I have for the Thursday.
Right, let's get on to the Friday then. My best selection so far for the 42 viewers and readers in the Antipost column is Tritonic at 12s for the Triumph. Now he's one of my best at Festival, Don. To be honest, I think if he were on the flat, he'd be getting a lot of weight off Zanahiyr. I know that doesn't translate, but I can't pick a hole in this horse at all. Will he beat Zanahiyr? And surely one of them wins it.
Yeah, look, yeah, I absolutely see the case for Tritonic. He's rated 99 in the flats. He's a high-class flat horse coming, jumping, and he did well to win at Ascot the first day. And then I thought he did even better the last day in the Adonis Hurdle when the track wouldn't have suited him, but his stamina kicked in over the final 2 flights, and he was very impressive. So, yeah, I am surprised he's favourite in front of Zanahiyr, though. Like, Zanahiyr was so good off a fast pace at the Fairyhouse, and then off a slow pace.
Slow pace at Leopardstown, yeah.
He did it again. So, look, he was very good at Fairyhouse off the fast pace, which is probably what he'll get. I think he won despite the pace the last day. So, yeah, it's going to be a hell of a tussle between the two of them. I think Calixios might be underrated, though, because, there was talk about him going for the Fred Winter when they were both trained by Gordon Elliott, but now they're obviously in different yards, so it looks like Calixios might go for the Triumph Hurdle, and he was very good in the Spring Hurdle as well.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to see Gordon Elliott's face if Calixios does Zanahiyr on the line, basically. But what's your good buddy Keith Donoghue telling you about these two, John?
No, I'd be similar to you, Johnny. I think Tritonic has a really good chance. I was really impressed with the last day in Donis. Like Calixios probably the value. Like you get the 2 at the head of the market, kind of 2 to 1, 9 to 4. You probably get 11 to 2, 6 to 1 around Calixios. Could be the way you might play it, but I think that Tritonic is the most likely winner. I thought he was really, really good the last day, as you said, rated 99 the flash. I think he's the most likely winner.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there. And just looking at the Albert Bartlett now, Vanillier, a big price. I think he'll outrun his odds for Gavin Cromwell if he sends him there. Are you in the Statler camp? He's hard to knock.
No, I backed for Kira for that.
Wouldn't be alone there.
Yeah, backed him. Just out and out stayer. I think I know the last 2 years not as much. You had Monkfish won it and Manila Indo, and they were kind of progressive. But like typically, you might want a horse that's kind of stay all day and a bit more battle hardened. I backed Farouk Delaine. I don't think he's going to go as well. So yeah, that's why I backed in the race.
Donn McClean.
Yeah, like after the Nathaniel Lacey race at Leopardstown, I thought, like John, Fakir was the one. But as you say, Johnny, everybody else thought that as well. I thought he'd be a bit under the radar. He's over the radar. I thought Torygraph, look, he's not a flashy horse or anything, but he was a massive price after he won the race that Monkfish won last year before going on to win it. And he's like, listen to Jack Kennedy talking about him afterwards. He doesn't do anything at home, apparently. He's just dig down deep, and that's the type of horse in most years, exactly as John was saying, in most years, that's the type of horse you want for an Albert Bartlett. It's a real dour stamina test for novices. So you want something that's going to be gutsy and determined rather than classy and flashy, and Torygraph is that. But he's an 8 to 1 shot now, which is it's short enough. I thought he'd be for a kind of an underrated, largely unfashionable horse. I thought he'd be a bigger price in general than he was. But no, I think 8 to 1 is about right about it.
We'll finish up on the Gold Cup. So prior to that, we'll talk just briefly, if you have anything else on what is a fairly busy day 5. Do remember to gamble responsibly. This is a week in which things can just be so hectic that you have to keep on top of things. Do remember to gamble responsibly. Visit dunlewy.net. We also have the County Hurdle. We also have one of the new races, obviously the Mare's Chase, in which Ellie May looks like she's going to be a short price favourite. The Martin Pipe, in which have a lot of these kind of multiple entries done, and I guess you are kind of waiting to see where horses go because of the multiple entries.
Yeah, the Martin Pipe's tricky. And
we have the Hunter's Chase as well.
Yeah, Hunter's Chase with professional riders riding in the Hunter's Chase. Blue Lord, if he goes for the county hurdle, I think he's interesting. But in the Mare's Chase, look, Ellie May, I think she's the right favourite. She was very good in winning the Opera Hat Chase last time. But I think Shattered Love is a bit underrated. Like Ellie May in the Opera Hat Chase, the 2 mile trip of that race would have been way too short for her. Probably too short for Ellie May as well. So Ellie May's over her optimum trip. But I think Shattered Love is over her optimum trip as well. And that was her first run since she ran over hurdles in the race. I think it was the race Florian Porter won. So that was her first run back after a short break. Like, she's 10 years old now, but she won the race at Clonmel that she won last year, the Mare's race, really impressively this year. She beat Cabaret Queen by 10 lengths, by an easy 10 lengths. So I think that suggests that she's in at least a good form this year. She has been, but she's running in an Irish Grand National. She's running a Cheltenham Gold Cup, but I still think 2.5 miles is her trip, and she won the JLT Chase as a novice over this course and distance on the new course as well, so the exact same course. And I think, you'd imagine that as soon as this race was announced, this has been her target since then. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Shattered Love run a big race.
100%, and she was so impressive that day as a novice as well, despite clouting the last. John Small?
I backed Salya for the county, top weight.
Interesting, if he runs, he has other options as well. Yeah,
exactly. Loads of them are double ender and stuff. So I just think if you go back in his old form, like the day he was going to beat Aspire Delan and stuff, I thought he was interesting. And he's obviously ran really poorly, but I'd say he could have been targeted at something like the county. So if he doesn't go for the champion hurdle, I think he'd be interested in the county hurdle.
We just one word on this before this. We're jumping the gun here. Who wins the Gold Cup in 2022, John Small?
Monkfish.
Donn McClean.
That's tough. It depends how to bet. How would you bet on look, so
right,
Enval and the 2021 Cheltenham Gold Cup winner, whoever that may be?
Yeah, you see, like, could you do it 4 times in a row? Because this brings us on to the 2021 Gold Cup. Because for a horse, I started getting into racing around the days of Best Mate. There was so much hype about Best Mate. Maybe the fact that, Jim Lewis, his owner, the Villa connection or whatever, and he was just really popular. So little by comparison about Album Photo. He's kind of treated. He gets the hype, I'd say, of a horse that's like. That kind of runs well in champion hurdles. He just doesn't have the hype, whatever it is. Maybe it's the Tremor factor. Maybe it's the fact that he was somewhat unheralded when he won it and wasn't exactly a short price in 2020. I like Champ, actually, to make a long story short on. I loved his comeback run at Newbury. I think Nicky Henderson has either stumbled upon or actually designed a great seasonal prep for him. It's going to be a fascinating race.
Yeah, no, it is. And like you, I kind of had Champ written off because we hadn't seen him since the RSA.
Wind operation.
Yeah, and he jumped early in the RSA. I thought it was a masterclass by Barry Garrity to get him up. But then when he came back, like that run in the Game Spirit, like that was exactly, I agree with you, Johnny, completely. It was a really, really good run. He jumped very well. He jumped a 2 mile pace. He was only just beaten by So Royal, as a good horse himself, 160s odd rated horse, and racing over his afternoon trip. Yeah, like that's put him into the picture. He really is a player now in the Gold Cup, whereas before that run, I didn't really have him in it. I kind of had Album Photo as the standard setter, and then Absolute Tard and Manila Indo as the two who could get up to that level. And
you did tip Absolute Tards, obviously, when he won at Leopardstown in that memorable finish, and I imagine you've been loyal with him. I think you have been loyal in the Sunday Times column as well.
Yeah. No, I think he's very interesting, Johnny. Like, he won the Close Brothers Chase by 12 or 14 lengths at Cheltenham, so he's got Cheltenham Festival form. He didn't run really well in the Ryanair Chase last year. Rachel Blackmore just seemed to be niggling him along a little bit the whole way, and afterwards I think she said that he just was a little bit flat. He didn't travel with the usual verve that he normally shows. And also he did run that, and like, this is easy in hindsight, but he did run that day as if a step up and trip might suit him. So the step up in trip for the Savills Chase, he obviously saw that out well under a really good ride from Darragh O'Keefe. He hit the line hard, and he hit the line like a horse who stayed the trip well, and who could get the extra 2.5 furlongs of a Gold Cup, and who could even improve for that. So, and he's a 7-year-old, like, you know, Sizen John was 7, Cowder Star was 7 when he won his first, Best Mate was 7, or Albin Photo was 7. You know, it's a good age, I think, for a coming horse, a horse who could maybe progress by more than the market can assess. So, yeah, I think he's the value. I think he has to improve to get up to Albin Photo's level, but I think there's every chance he can. And I agree with you fully at Albin Photo. Like, he doesn't get the credit that he deserves. Like, he's already in an elite group, having won 2 Gold Cups. On the third, I think it's because we don't see him very often. I know we didn't see Best Mate very often either, but we saw Best Mate more often. Like, literally, Albin Photo runs at Tremor, wins the Gold Cup. That's what he does. And you can't knock it. It works. It's a great formula.
Who wins the Gold Cup, John?
That, like, even his RSA run, when he obviously came down, but Presenting Percy was going to beat him out the gap. So, like, it's like he's not considered like a superstar. I know,
late developer maybe.
Yeah, like he was never talked about, like, say, like a Monkfish is now, or an Envoy Allen. He was kind of like Presenting Percy was talked about that way, and now it's got, and he's got, you know.
Does he win the Gold Cup?
Albin Photo. He obviously, as Don says, the standard setter. I don't know if I'd be backing with that price again to do 3 in a row. It's nice prep. I actually, you probably think I'm mad. I think I probably think Santini isn't bad value at 16 to 1. Like, he's never been out of the placings at Cheltenham. Obviously hasn't ran well this year, but you're gonna have Native River there. He's gonna bowl long front, make it a test. Like last year they went slow, and he was only beating a neck. Like, you're getting more than 3 times the price. I just think he's not bad value to back each way. And this is obviously the aim all year. And yeah, I like a horse like that that's going to stay and just know about, like.
He's a horse that's broken my heart on more than one occasion. But let's get naps off you, lads. And thanks to everyone for watching and listening. But before we do finish up, John, if Desi Farrell texts you on Tuesday and he's not worried about training around, and he's like, give us something for Cheltenham, even if not today, over the course of the week, what do you text him back? I'm busy, or will you text him a tip?
Probably say, I don't know what you're talking about. I think Kashari has a really good chance in the Carl Cup. Yeah.
Interesting, Don.
Yeah. I'll be trying the Gold Cup.
Lads, thanks a million for that.
What about you? What's your bet?
I'll give my nap of the festival is Tritonic, actually, in Triumphirtle. I can't see Calixios beating him. I think Zana here is the danger, but I love that. This horse could improve another stone from the last day. He's just developing from run to run. Love his stallion, See the Moon, Sire of All Mankind. I think he gets very genuine horses, but this horse has so much pace as well. If he's close at the last, him and Zana here, I think he just outstay him, outclass him, whatever it is. Remember, he'd be given about 20 pounds on the flat, and I think it does translate in a sense, because basically this horse is only getting better over hurdles. And enjoy the week, lads.
You too. Yeah, you too, John.
He's got visions of John Small now at the purpose-built bar in his house, social distancing and doing all of that and laying bets. You'll be watching The Punt, brought to you by William Hill on the42.ie. And do remember that we'll have all that Cheltenham coverage from start to finish next week. Thanks to Don, and thanks to John, and thanks to you for watching.